Hey everybody, Dave the Maverick Beekeeper. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to anybody who's returning, and I'm going to start by saying I'm really humbled by the responses, certainly over the last 4 weeks or so, of the amount of people that have viewed the Brother Adam series. It surprised me. I've not even started doing the practical stuff yet, so your support to this channel is much appreciated, and I am truly humbled by that. So this is going to be the last video I put up, and it's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek one, this one. So I'll explain what that is in a minute. So I'm homeward bound shortly in the next week, back to the UK, where I can start getting on with some of the practical stuff that I was talking about in previous videos. And that is to look at the apiary site. Last time I couldn't because of the outbreak of avian flu, and the other one is a visit to the guy who's going to give me a nucleus of bees in the early part of spring, whenever that's possible. So yeah, once again, thanks again for your support. Spread the word. I'll soon be coming to the practical side of things and make it a bit more interesting. Oh, and I've also upgraded the editing platform. I'm now going with the big boys, which is Premiere Pro. And it took some time to get my head around it, but it'll polish up my videos a little bit instead of all the scratchy stuff that I've been throwing together. So without further ado, we'll go on to the next one, which is a tongue-in-cheek one, which will be the Folklore of Bees. Enjoy. Bees and people have had a very close relationship over the course of history, and with this comes a diverse mythology surrounding the honeybee. A statement by Albert Einstein outlined this: if the bee disappears from the surface of the earth, man will have no more than 4 years to live. In fact, this statement is more than likely a rewording of Charles Darwin's theory of the origin of the species for sure. Telling the bees is a century-old beekeeper's tradition. An example of this would be an indication of a major event in their families, and of course this must be communicated to the bees. The tradition of telling it to the bees was seen as a necessity, especially if a family member had passed away. If a beekeeper had died, the task fell on the spouse or eldest son. With a house key in hand, he or she would knock on the hive and proclaim, "Little bee, our Lord is dead, leave not while we are in distress." The bees had to be asked to stay even though their owner had gone, and more importantly, the name of the new owner was given. The consequences, therefore, if not given to the bees, they would go into mourning, leave and die. Marriages also needed to be declared, as did births. The importance of leaving a piece of wedding cake for them, this was the responsibility of the bride. This tradition spread from the United Kingdom to the United States of America. A 19th century poet once said in the death of a loved one, whilst draping a black cloth over the beehives, and said, "But her dog whined low on the doorway sill, with his cane to his chin, the old man sat, and the chore girl still. Sung to the bees stealing out and in, and the song she was singing ever since. Stay at home, pretty bees, fly not hence, Mistress Mary is dead and gone." So some quick facts about bee mythology. Bees are depicted in Paleolithic art in Spain, dating 2.5 million years ago. Also, bees were given royal status by the Egyptian pharaohs, Ra the Egyptian sun god, and not forgetting other connections to Aphrodite and the Hindu god Vishnu, to name a few. The ancient Celts believed bees had a connection with the spirit realm and the ability to carry message to departed ancestors. Bizarrely, the tradition of walking past a hive with your betrothed without being stung would indicate that the marriage would endure without infidelities. Sari Norman wrote, according to British Irish folklore, that bees must never be purchased with normal money, but with gold coins, and to be bartered for, as not to offend them, or as a gift, so that no money changes hands. Bee omens played a big part in the ancients' beliefs. Examples were bees landing on the hand meant money to come, flying bees in the house, visitors are expected, and if killed whilst in the house, visitors only had bad news. Swarms are part of beekeeping in today's practices and are common. However, this was considered a bad omen, and even worse if the swarm occupied a dead or dying tree. The result would be a family member dying. at the opposite end of the spectrum involve bees interacting with humans. One being, if a bee was found to be flying around a sleeping child, it was regarded that the child would live a healthy and prosperous life, and a bee touching the lips, then there was a poet in the making. So some bee sayings and phrases. Bee sayings are colourful descriptions of the human condition, such as busy as a bee. That doesn't need any imagination to know why. A great expression is a bee in the bonnet, due to the fact a bee might sting if confined. On the other hand, if alighted on the head, then this is good fortune. The first known use in the 18th century describing someone as obsessed with something. The bee's knees is a great expression. When related to bees, it could indicate carrying pollen in the baskets of the honeybee hind legs, as we know it being a valuable resource, or, if you like, an alternative reference to an American dancer, Bee Jackson, who popularised the Charleston. As we've all observed within our own hives is the waggle dance, the complex communication of the hive foragers to indicate a food source or pre-swarm alternate nesting sites. This was employed as a colourful expression to make a beeline for it. Some more trivia. Dumbledore is an Old English word for bumblebee. J.K. Rowling adopted this name to characterise the Hogwarts headmaster based on his roaming the halls humming to himself. This next one, I feel, could be slightly unbelievable. Honeybees have an excellent sense of smell and were trained to seek out unexploded ordnance in the Balkans in the 1990s. Really? By covering themselves in queen pheromone, folk can attract swarms to alight on them. Yeah, probably true. In 1669, Michael Wisconski was elected King of Poland because bees had settled on him. Clever ploy for votes, maybe. Finally, a quote from Professor W. Cook. The safety of England depends on the number of cats she keeps. Without the aid of bumblebees, the red clover could not be fertilised. Bumblebees make their nest on the ground, where they are prey to mice. Cats destroy the mice and give the bees a chance to live. Hence, no cats, many mice, no bumblebees. No bees, no clover. No clover, no cattle. No cattle, no beef. And without beef, where would the Englishman be? Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. I know what you're going to say. It's cheesy, charge your dad and all that business. It was just a bit of fun to fill in the time. I've only got a week left in Qatar and I'm returning home to Scotland, where it's going to be a fun-packed month. I've got to look at the Murray and Apiary site, which I never managed to do just before Christmas. Also, I need to get across to the guy who's going to supply me with the nucleus of bees. So it's going to be fun-packed. Also, I've got the pollen identification book by Mohammed El Laban, which I'm going to quickly review, give you folks a heads up on that, whether it's worth the money or not. Also, a gas vat has arrived at my house, which again, I'll unbox that, show you that. And I know there's been lots of reviews about them, but from a sort of beginner's aspect, I'm going to look at that piece of kit. So that's what we're looking for in the next month. So thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, pass it on, and thanks for your support so far. It's been great. The viewing figures have rocketed, and also so has the subscription rate, and I thank you for that. So I'll see you very soon. This is my last video until the next one. And again, as I said, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you very soon on the flip side of the brood frame. Cheerio.